Well, it's what is the date today?
October 15th.
The 15th.
15th.
Amber said it with lots of feeling. We got little Bubbers.
Say hi, Daddy.
He's 8 months old, and we got Grandpa here. He came out for about, what, month and a half?
Yep.
Stayed down to Fairview, and he's going back tomorrow, and we thought we'd save Mom and Gary a trip, and he just come up, spend the night here with us in American Fork, and we'll take him to the airport in the morning. We had a fun trip back. We drilled him with lots of questions. It was fun. And I have more questions.
You do?
Oh yeah. Where'd you what was your childhood like?
Well, my childhood was enjoyable. Never had any fights. We moved a lot. Seemed like my folks, I think that was their entertainment, was going out and looking at houses for rent. Every time they'd find one as nice or better for the same rent or less, they'd move. It was all pretty much in the same area on the west side of Sioux City. So I went to, in 12 years of school, I went to 12 years of school, different schools.
Wow.
That's not fun.
All in the Sioux City area?
Yep. Well, no, one tour was in Missouri.
Oh.
Tour?
We were down there,
Yeah.
down there for about a year.
Sound like a chore if it was a tour. Huh. How many siblings?
I had a brother and a sister that living. I had a brother that died as an infant.
They're still alive?
Pardon?
Are your brother and sister still alive?
Yeah.
Where do they live?
Well, my brother lives in Washington. My sister lives in Sioux City yet.
Do you keep in touch with them?
With my sis. My brother keeps in touch with my sis, but not with me.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
That's weird.
Too many years between us, 12 years between us.
Oh. That's quite a bit.
Yeah.
And you're 89 years young.
Right.
What year were you born?
1921.
Month and day?
April 10, 21.
So you've seen a lot of innovations and technologies.
You bet. I can remember when we lived on the farm, we didn't have electricity. And we had a hand crank Victrola, so we got a little bit of music.
Oh. Little, what do they call him? Phonograph or?
Yeah, phonograph.
Huh. What do you think has been the technology that you've enjoyed the most, that's made life the easiest?
Electricity. That was a great boon for farmers when that rural electrification went through. But of course, we were in town by then.
How did you guys get around?
Well, Dad sometimes had an old car, old Model T.
Wow. Do you ever have a horse and buggy or anything?
I went to school, horse and buggy in Missouri.
Huh. Seems unfathomable to me with the way it is now.
Yep.
Huh.
Well, when radio came in, that was a big innovation.
TV.
washing machine? I bet your mom loved that.
Yeah, right.
Air.
Wow, electric washing machine. And before that, they did come out with a few with a little gas engine on them that would pump, but we didn't have one of those.
A gas engine washing machine?
Yeah, it cranks the machine.
Wow.
And a vacuum.
Oh yeah, vacuum cleaners.
Huh. I guess airplanes. I don't know when the Wright brothers did their thing, but you know, big airlines came about.
Oh yeah,
38.
I can remember when we lived on the farm, seeing an airplane go over and I, wow, that
Huh.
was really something.
Interesting. That's fun. You lived through the Great Depression.
Yep.
Did that impact you guys?
No, my dad fortunately had a job and they kept him on throughout the whole thing. And as far as a kid, me being a kid, I didn't realize there was any different.
Hmm.
So,
You'll like President Monson's book.
oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Talks a lot about those years so
Okay.
far. That I'm reading. To the rescue.
Gotta get the time. Huh. Did you know people that were affected by it?
Well, in school, I can remember the teacher asking the pupils every once in a while, and most of them would say, WPA, WPA, WPA. Her dad was getting $1 a day from the government to do something.
Huh. What does WPA mean?
Work Projects Administration.
Huh.
President Roosevelt, President Roosevelt. No, it wasn't Roosevelt. Yeah, it was too. Roosevelt inaugurated that.
Hmm. Interesting. Because I know Gary's grandma. Oh yeah, it'd have been his grandma. I think he still has some of those, not food stamps, but
Oh, ration books?
yeah, those are kind of cool.
I don't remember ever seeing a ration book.
Hmm.
I'm sure my folks must have had them,
Mm-hmm.
because everybody did. I do know that gasoline was rationed, tires were rationed. You didn't do much traveling.
Hmm. You lived through a lot of wars.
Yep.
You were fortunate enough to bypass World War II.
No.
Well, you were in the service.
Yeah, in World War II.
And were fortunate and stayed in the States.
Yeah, I never got into combat. Never got out of the States.
But did you get drafted or did you join?
I joined.
You joined. Hmm. And you were married when you joined. You had one baby?
Well, yeah, while I was in the service, a baby was born.
Lauren.
Yeah.
And served 3 years
Right.
and cut your losses and got out of that. Did you mind the service?
I didn't like it. Although I was fortunate. I went to boot camp. From boot camp, I went to radio school. At radio school, because I was 22 and most of the recruits were 17 and 18 or 19. So they made me a section leader. So they gave me, because of being section leader, I got my rating out of radio school. Then they sent us all to gunnery school. And then after gunnery school, they sent me to California, to Alameda, which is in San Francisco Bay. And then they sent me out to a little auxiliary air station out in the desert, in the San Joaquin Valley. And worked in the radio shack out there for a couple of months, I guess it was, maybe 3 months. And the chief came around one day and said they was looking for a volunteer to go over to Monterey for a couple of weeks to some kind of a school. Nobody volunteered. After about a month or so, I got to thinking about it, and so I asked the chief if someone had volunteered to go over there, and he said, no, not yet. I said, well, what's the deal? And he says, all I can tell you is that if you go over there, you know you're not going to get shipped out for whatever length of time you're over there. So I said, well, what have I got to lose? I'll volunteer for it. So they sent me over to Monterey. Supposed to be for 2 weeks. I was there for 10 weeks. 10 months. 10 months. Finally, the cashew unit I was attached to moved into Monterey. So then they started going through their books and, whoa, here's a guy who's never been out. So then they put me on draft to go out, sent me up to Shoemaker up by Oakland, up there in Shoemaker, which is what they call the shipping off point. And the first day I was there, they gave me a bunch of jungle and hot weather stuff. So it sounded like we were going to go to the South Pacific. Next day they came and took it all away again. And then I waited. They kept saying, oh, you'll be on draft for the week 7. It dragged on, dragged on. So finally, after maybe the following week, still wasn't on draft. So I talked to somebody and they said, hey, go down and tell them you want to be master at arms of a barracks. I said, why? What good's that? He says, well, all you have to do is, you'll have every other day duty. And all you have to do is muster some guys twice a day and get a barracks crew to clean the barracks once a day. I said, well, what happens the other day? Oh, you get liberty. Well, they wouldn't give me liberty. Here, we master at arms of a barracks, get every other day liberty. So I went down, and sure enough, yeah, we'll make you master at arms of a barracks. So I became master at arms of a barracks. And I remember one set of guys that went through there were all had been in trouble with the Navy, and they'd just gotten out of Navy prison, but they still had to serve their time in the Navy that they'd signed up for. They didn't get credit for the time they were in jail.
Oh.
So there were a bunch of really, gung-ho guys, and they didn't care whether school kept or not. Once in a while, one of them would come to me and say, I'm going over the fence tonight. They'll say, don't tell me, I don't want to know. If you're going to go, go. And anyway, I was there when both wars ended. Still in this, supposing to be shipped out. And the war in Europe ended and the war in the Pacific ended. So, then they put me to work in a separation center there. So, I could type, so they put me to work. And I had some good ones. I mean, we were separating these old sea dogs. Boy, these guys had been in for years and had all kinds of experience has been everywhere in the world. And I got to type up their resumes.
Hmm.
And then pretty soon they decided that I had enough points not to be shipped overseas, but not enough points for discharge. So then they sent me back to Great Lakes, put me in another separation center. So I worked there until I had enough points for discharge. Here I was working in a separation center. No, they can't discharge you there. They sent me from Great Lakes to Old Chamberlain, Minnesota to be discharged. That was where I had enlisted.
Hmm.
So got out just before Christmas in 1945.
Hmm. That was a good Christmas that year.
Yep.
Huh. And then you got out and
Started looking for a job. And I knew electrical theory, so I went to Sioux City Gas and Electric Company and hounded them till they finally hired me. And so I worked there and the Iowa Public Service Company absorbed Sioux City Gas and Electric Company. And I worked for Iowa Public Service Company for 10 years. And I got my government job. Worked for the Bureau of Reclamation, they called it, for 25 years. And then I just retired from there and got a job in Wyoming for 5 years with a power company. Retired from there and moved back to Sioux City because Maxine was having troubles and they kept saying that she needed to get out of that elevation.
Mm.
So back to Sioux City then.
Hmm.
That was about 1985.
'85 is when you moved back to Sioux City?
Pardon?
'85 is when you moved back to Sioux City?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know it was that late. Hmm. You got... The rest is history. You ended up having 6 kids, was it?
Yep.
6 kids. They're spread out all over the place now.
Right. They have been farther and they've... Nan, she was all over. She was in California and North Carolina and Pennsylvania. Now she's back home.
Lots of grandkids.
Yep.
And now you...
24 great grandkids.
24 great grandkids, and you... Three days a week you go to the physical therapist and exercise with some friends.
Yep.
And then after that, is it the same friends you go to Burger King with?
No, not really. A couple of guys that I knew at therapy do show up at Burger King occasionally.
Hmm.
Not every day.
Do you drive there?
Hmm?
Do you drive there
Mm-hmm.
to the therapist and Burger King?
Mm-hmm.
Is it close to your house?
Not far. Nothing like out here.
So pretty much you go exercise and then you negate that exercise with a Whopper.
No, I get a Whopper Junior.
'Cause that's the dollar menu, right?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And I go and pick up a friend and take him to Burger King with me. And then I take him home after also.
What's his name again?
Ron Hicks.
Ron Hicks, that's right. Hmm.
I bet you Ron is missing you.
Yeah,
Did you call him yet?
yeah.
So Monday, I guess you'll be back at it, huh?
You betcha. Back to the same old routine.
That's nice. Routines are nice. I can't wait till I can go and eat a burger every day. Stone Drug in Spanish Fork has real good ones. What kind of goals do you have in life?
Well, I always wanted to live on an acreage, and we did. Tried for 2 years. But it was the wrong time in our life.
Huh.
Because Harold was in his last year of high school. Should have been out there when we had all 6 kids. So. And then Maxine didn't like it out there. She says, too dark. Besides, she says, I'm a city girl.
Huh.
Opposite of Denise, huh?
Yeah.
Denise is not a city girl.
So you'd like to live on an acreage, huh?
I would like to.
I know where 6 acres are at right now.
You do, huh? Well, they might peddle their place and put something on that 6 acres.
Oh, That'd be sad to see your house every day that you'd lived in forever, you know. And
Yeah, especially when Gary built that house for her.
yeah,
It's a beautiful house.
that's nice. Well, Grandpa,
But she says she doesn't care where she lives as long as she can live with Gary.
yeah,
So that's wonderful.
yeah, she doesn't mind. She's good. Well, I guess we'll shut this down, but I think your life's pretty great. I think you've lived a good life, and it's inspiring for me.
Not a lot of thrilling stuff in there.
But it's a good one. You were faithful, you were a good father, you provided, you stayed true to the gospel.
Yeah. Well, let's see, we joined the church in 1956.
You remember who the names of the missionaries that baptized you?
No, can't remember.
I think Mom remembers. Seems like I asked her and I tried to look them up a couple years ago, see if we could dig them up, but seems like one of them was from like Tonga. And then another wasn't from Utah, so it was kind of hard to find or something. I don't remember. But we love you and we're glad that you came out. And
I'm glad I came too. It's been nice to see Denise and Gary and you guys.
And little one.
Always glad to see my great-grandkids.
Hi.
yeah, hope you come out soon again, or we'll have to come out.
Well, I hope you guys can come back there sometime.
Yeah.